Thank you all for tuning in. The following is a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch the Third, coming to you live from the Palatial Home Studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Malden, Missouri. Joining me from a more than acceptable safe social distance is my guest for today, Tavares A. Garrett. I guess there must be another Tavares Garrett, huh?
there might be. So I had to put that A in there. Thank you for having me, Bill. I'm so excited to be here with you and your guests.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you. We were just talking a little bit before I hit record, and we'll get back to that here in a second. But I always start the show with the same question: who are you reading?
Who am I reading? I'm reading myself right now. I'm reading
reading yourself.
Absolutely. I got to proofread my own material, Bill. So that's who I'm reading right now. I have this book right here. I like that. This is a book of inspirational quotes. And then, of course, my latest is The Body Synthesis, A Guide to a Better Mind. So that's what I'm reading right now. And I do that because I like to stay inspired and informed. And I know I wrote the book, but it's always good for me to go back and reflect on what I wrote. So I get a feel of what the readers are experiencing.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
And I usually follow up with what are you getting out of it? What's the takeaway? But I guess that's kind of already you've already said that. But
yeah, the reflection is what I get. When I take a moment to go back to my work and reflect, it reminds me of where I'm at in that space or where I was at, so that emotion, that vibration can catapult me into the next chapter of my life. And so that's why I can read my work. I love to see where I'm at, how much I've grown, right? And then, of course, how much I still don't know, because it's not just about what I do know, just as what I don't know is evenly as important. So that's why I go back and reflect, and that's what I've learned from reading my own work, and that's my takeaway. Thank you.
It's interesting. I haven't had anybody else say that they're reading their work again. I'm going to have to take that I'm going to have to take that to heart because I'm writing my own books on leadership, and it's taking me a while because I've got like 8 different part-time jobs, and and so I'm rather busy.
Nice.
But yeah, okay. No, that's definitely something to take to heart. I hadn't thought about doing that. Reading it after it's written. So let's see. So we were talking before we came on that you'd gone to school up at San Jose State in California, right?
Absolutely. Home with the Spartans. Go Spartans. Yeah. That's where I got my start in radio. College radio, 90.5 FM, KSJS. It was a lot of fun. And it just put me in a position to really hone my craft, to connect with the masses. And I did that. It was a lot of fun. They actually used to be the old KSJO antenna. That was an old rock station in the Bay Area, in San Jose to be specific, which is the capital of Silicon Valley, for some that don't know. And so it was a lot of fun being in that position. I was there for a few years, and I was able to create what was called camp radio. And so learned a lot, learned how to be vulnerable, learned how to be outspoken and be in front of people. And that in itself played well for me when I began to do public speaking as well in the city of San Jose at multiple festivals throughout the season of the festivals, typically summer, spring, a lot of fun there. So I learned a lot from doing radio.
Yeah, I can definitely say I learned a lot from radio as well. I was in Southern California on the Angels radio station there in Anaheim, and learned how to do interviews, how to run a show,
Nice.
all sorts of things. Never did get rid of my ums and ahs though.
That takes some time, I tell you. I'm still working on that
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, no kidding, no kidding. Yeah, I need to get back to listening to myself on the air, but
Nice.
yeah, I have the ability to hook a line up to hear myself live, but I don't know, it's just so scary.
Well, you sound good, my man. I appreciate you right now. You sound good. You look good. I love the energy coming off of you. So you're definitely doing your thing. You're in a good space. I say give it a shot.
Thank you, thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
thank you. Yeah, I like your look. The jacket works really well.
Thank you.
So very professional. I feel underdressed.
That's okay, sir.
So, but so tell me, what exactly is it that you do? What is the body synthesis?
The body synthesis is preventative medicine coaching. We also help with individuals who are battling alcohol, drugs, grieving, or just people who seem to have lost their way within themselves. I like to say that we awaken the giant sleeping in everyone. I gently remind people of the special attributes they already have within themselves. We all know when it comes to day to day life, it's easy to forget about the most important person, yourself, right? And so people come to me to regain that type of access to themselves. You know, when it comes to children, life, work, again, it can get a bit mundane and we can lose ourselves in that particular lifestyle, in those lanes of life. And so we come to you on site at your place of business if that's what you wish. Or we can meet you on site anywhere in public, or you can come to my office here in the Bay Area. So it's a space where I'm very attentive. One of the first methods that we use as an entry point into the body synthesis is the CLS method, which stands for Connect, Listen, Share. And that is a really, really good method to make the person or persons coming to me feel comfortable. Kind of like you and I right now. We're connecting, we're listening, and we're sharing. And that I have found has been a very successful tool and method. And they don't just get to use it with me, they get to take that tool away with them and practice it in their own lives to connect with their own family, their own friends, their own colleagues, associates, etc. So that is the body synthesis in a nutshell. We help people to continue to move forward, especially post pandemic. When the pandemic happened, Bill, I was in property management and I had been in property management for some time. And so I had also been considering a shift out of property management. So when the pandemic happened, I said to myself, this may be your opportunity right now to make this pivot. And sure enough, I did it. It was a little scary at first, right? Trying new things, venturing off to a new opportunity. But I tell you, Bill, I'm glad I did. I learned a lot just during that time about myself and being able to pivot and being able to create something where a lot of people at the time, they were pretty much stuck. They paused their whole life. They didn't know what to do. The world stopped moving. We had to have different times and going to the supermarket just to get food, and toiletries. So myself, my wife, we chose to really make it work for us. And that's exactly what we did. And so I created the body synthesis. And that is basically 4 pillars of success: mind, body, spirit, nutrition. That's what we focus on. Absolutely. Those are the 4 pillars of success. Our mind, what we think, how we speak to ourselves. I have another method called Tavares' famous mirror talk. It's exactly what it sounds like. You go into the mirror and you talk to yourself. You validate yourself. And hey, if you have nothing to say, that's fine too. Observe yourself, see yourself. And I use the mirror because it's a great way to recycle energy. We are all energy. We're 85% water, but when you break humans down, we're atoms and molecules. So we're pure energy. We're always transmitting. The first law of thermodynamics: energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but simply changed into different forms. And so when I think about that, I came up with the idea of Tavares' famous mirror talk, because going into the mirror, talking to the mirror, well, you're giving that mirror energy, and that reflection is you. So that's why I came up with Tavares' famous mirror talk. It is a winner. People use it all the time. They love the idea of it. I use it myself, right? If I have a low vibration, maybe the day isn't going the way that I want it to go, I simply go into the mirror and I adjust myself. I talk to myself, and I'm very transparent. I'm very honest, and that way, I feel like it works the best when we are very transparent and very honest with ourselves.
Okay, I can imagine. We actually had a discussion about the energy that people are on the show a
Mm,
couple weeks ago, and yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. And I've been dwelling on that over and over in my mind, you know, thinking about it. And yeah, no, we are. Even when we die, our energy has to go somewhere. And
absolutely.
of course, my personal beliefs is that we go to the heavenly realms, and
There you go.
you know, and join with the great energy.
That's
Um,
right. Right. We
you know,
continue to serve, I believe.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, I can totally see that as a way, as kind of a therapeutic kind of a way to do things. So yeah, I know all about the pandemic causing shifts.
Yeah.
Originally, this show was supposed to take place in my front room. We were going to have drinks and sit
Okay.
with the guests, and then the pandemic happened, and it was like, nope, that's not going to go. But it's actually been an incredible thing. Because instead of just having people who could get to my home,
Hmm.
now I've had people all around the world
That's right.
come to my show, and you know, hopefully other people have found ways to shift since the pandemic, so that it's not a limiting factor, but
Correct.
you know, kind of an unlimiting factor.
Exactly.
Um, you know, yeah, that's an amazing thing. You said you also do a podcast.
I do. It's called Living Your Truth with Tavares. And I started that podcast on a Sunday morning. And I bring this up because I needed someone to talk to, Bill. I was in a tough space emotionally, right? I was in a tough space. And I said to myself, gosh, I need someone to talk to. And I turned on the microphone, Bill, and got to talking. And I had a great response. I didn't really realize how many people felt like I did at the time. So I got a great response and I just kept doing it. And now I'm approaching my ninth season. And so I share that for anybody who may be considering whether it's starting a podcast, maybe it's a group, women's group, men's group, whatever the case, because it's not about the how or the why. I say just do it, just go,
Yeah.
and the rest will happen. And that's exactly what happened for me with my podcast. I had no intention, Bill, of like coming back to do another season. I mean, I was petrified at the first episode because I said to myself, I just spilled all of my guts. I just said everything that I've been holding in for so long. Oh my gosh, what are people going to think? But once I got myself out of that space, once I pushed fear along and then, of course, walked through fear, right? I believe that we can't go over it, around it, or below it. We have to go through it because I understand that a lot of people get paralyzed by fear and they'll stop right before they actually have the breakthrough. So I had to walk through it. I had to be uncomfortable. I had to experience that, Bill. And when I did that, I was able to come up with a second episode. So I just kept everything super genuine, super transparent, super authentic. And people began to respond. And so they've been speaking. I've been speaking back. And it's a very safe, inclusive space for everybody. I don't shade or shun anybody because I understand that I'm speaking to the masses, and it's very important that I include as many people into the conversation. And hey, if I don't include you, I let the guests know. You can email me, you can contact me, and let me know, hey, this is what's going on in my role. Would you mind speaking about this? And I'm more than happy to serve and accommodate my supporters and my listeners. It really makes me happy. I thrive in that space. And I'm a servant leader. Like at the core of everything that I do, I'm a servant leader. I love helping others get what they want in life. And I don't want nothing in return. That's the cool thing about what I do. I don't want anything in return. I get paid doing what I do with my profession because I was able to turn my pain into my purpose. And so that's why I love serving via the body synthesis. I love going to people's jobs, giving them wellness on site, where a lot of companies don't offer that. So I completely enjoy what I do. I love being a servant leader, and I'm going to continue to serve for as long as I can.
That's awesome. Yeah, I totally believe in servant leadership.
Nice.
I've actually taken it I'm actually taking it a step beyond that into what I call ethical leadership,
Nice.
which yeah, it's based on nine actionable behaviors, and
Okay.
that includes humility and controlled discipline
Nice.
and a bunch of other stuff. And we're not talking about me though.
We're always
No,
talking about Bill.
I could totally dig it with it can be scary getting on the air at
Yeah.
first, and what do I do and how do I do it, and all of those things. But of course, we both had our trial by fire, as it were, in the radio space,
Oh yeah.
and usually in there you're surrounded by people who already know what they're doing at least a little bit,
Yep.
and so yeah, I can totally see I can totally see it being a wearisome place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, servant leadership is great. Um, you know, because, well, he who would be first must be the servant of all. Um,
Absolutely.
just to bring that out. But yeah, wanted to find out more about you also said you're a motivational speaker.
Yes.
How'd that come about?
That came about because I was always the one calling my friends. I was always the one calling my friends to encourage them, right? To give them
Mm.
some type of motivation or to stir up some momentum. And it was just over time where I kept hearing the narrative, hey, you should be a motivational speaker. You're really good. You inspired me. And of course, I was always being approached in the gym. Mind you, I don't speak in the gym. I got my headphones on. I'm doing my thing, right? And people would come say, hey, you're very inspiring. Can you help me with this? And I found that to be very interesting because I'm not speaking, I'm not saying anything. But what I learned to find out was energy is information. So when people see you operating with a certain level of energy, that in itself can cause another to be very inquisitive. And so when I understood that, hey, I don't have to communicate verbally. There's also nonverbal communication. There's the way that we walk. Are we walking with our head down? Are we walking with our head up? Is our chest out? Like, you can tell a lot by a person how they're just walking, how they're presenting themselves. And so once I really understood that, I chose to get certified, understand more about the human body, energy, frequency. So yeah, motivational speaking started. I did my first motivational speaking to a small group of people at the YMCA. It was young men and young women. And then from there, it just kind of blossomed. And so I recently I've been on my Elevate tour, Elevate 2024 tour, which has been about me going around to different cities and states, having been on different podcasts like your great podcast here, Bill, and just spreading my energy, my light, my narrative, my message, which is self-love, self-awareness. And if we want to validate ourselves, then do that. Don't look to the external world, the outside world, to validate you. Because if we do that, Bill, we're going to be disappointed a lot. Okay. We're going to be
Sure.
engaged a lot. So that's what it's about with me when it comes to being a motivational speaker. I love getting into deep conversations or light conversations, but it's really about me serving, right? I'm also an energy giver and healer. So in this space, I'm very intentional. I'm very passionate about it. And I love it because after people finish talking to me, they always tell me how good they feel. They always tell me that their energy is up, they're inspired. And so I started to pay attention to that. And yeah, a motivational speaker was born. And I'm very, very grateful for that. Great question.
Great, that's great. Yeah, yeah, I can see you've been all over the place this year, and you've got an appearance here in August in St. Louis. So you'll be back out in my neck of the woods.
I will be. It's just been grateful that people have been reaching out. And again, you know, it's about serving, and you'll hear me say this often. It's about going into spaces where some people have lost hope, right? Maybe they're trying to figure things out. Maybe they're stuck in a certain position in life. And so I go, I share my story. I have a Q&A session where people get to ask me questions. And I tell you, Bill, when that Q&A session opened up, oh my goodness, I get questions on questions on questions, everything from finance to family to parenting to how do I navigate my job that I don't like. I mean, I get so many questions, but I'm just happy to be in a position where I've been a part of so many experiences that I'm able to share that information. So I love that. It's a really good, grateful feeling to be able to serve people and to help them out. And look, it's not so much that I'm always going to give them the right answer, but I give them so much information that they're able to create their own answer. They're able to take what I say, kind of filter through it, and then they come up with their own solutions. So if I'm not giving you an answer, I'm definitely giving you the building blocks to create your own solution and answer.
For sure. Oh, looking at your website, is that your SO?
What's that?
Your significant other?
Absolutely. That's my beautiful wife, Amber Johnson Garrett. She is pure light. We've been married now just over 3 years. However, we reconnected after 18 years. So we went to college, and then life kind of took us different directions. And to be honest with you, Bill, I wasn't ready for the caliber of the woman that she was even then. So I'm grateful that life took us in different directions, only to reconnect us 18 years later, where we were able to get married. We got married in St. Lucia. We had a 1 year engagement, and it was just beautiful then, as it is beautiful now. Happily married, and just looking forward to just thriving with her even more. We do work together. We have another podcast called The Black Love Experience, where I'm actually her co-host. So it's a lot of fun, me taking a different role and working with her. And we've done all kinds of things. We create music together, the podcast, and we also get involved in serving around our city, serving our community. So it's a lot of fun working with my significant other. I never thought I'd ever be in a position where I'd be working with my wife. I've heard so many stories about working with, partners working together. So I'm so glad that I didn't allow that to jade me in any way. So we have a great time working together. We definitely are like more like friends at a lot of that time that we spend together. It's very light. It's very easy. We're super transparent. That's one of our love languages. And I believe in that. I believe, hey, if I need to be my best or the better version of myself, I want to know all that I need to know so that I can show up to that opportunity. And she's the same way. When I was in property management, that's what I would tell some of my clients when they came through the door. I say, hey, if you have anything on your credit, let me know everything so that I could help you. It was when people didn't share everything, and then we were surprised by something that we would see on the application. So once I established that understanding, I had people giving me all kinds of information, and sure enough, I was able to help them. So transparency has been around me for a very long time, and I've used it to serve as well.
I've always found in the show that that forthrightness is probably the best quality in a guest.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, for sure. But yeah, well, what kind of you said you do service out in the community? What kinds of things do you do?
Oh my goodness. So we just recently, so they have these local fridges, right? And they're free fridges. You basically pull up on an address and there'll be a fridge there. Typically the fridge is in a residential area near someone's home, not specifically inside someone's home,
Right.
but near. And so just recently we went to the city of Vallejo in the Bay Area, and we donated over $300 worth of food, and we packed this public refrigerator. I mean, we packed it full of all kinds of great veggies, chicken, salmon, I mean, all kinds of things, fruits, vegetables, milk, water. We just packed it. And so I love things like that because it's like a modern day Robin Hood, but I'm not robbing nobody, right? We're just giving food. And so it's awesome because people can go to this fridge from all around the neighborhood. They open it up, and boom, you have a fridge full of food. And it's basically on an honor system. So people go there, they'll pick a couple things out, and then they'll leave, and that's it. And that's what we do. We go to replenish these local fridges. It's a lot of fun. We also host car washes as well. We do, very low costing car washes. Really, it's just for donation purposes. but it's a good way to let the community know that people are thinking of them, that it's not always about making a whole bunch of money, right? It's about just serving them. It's about them knowing, hey, you know what? On Saturdays between 12 and 2, I can go over here and get my car washed just for a donation, even if it's $5, right? And we're not going to wash your car any less based on the amount of money that you donate. We're there to serve you, and we're there to have a great time while doing so.
That's awesome. I like the idea of the public fridge. It kind of reminds me a little bit, although on a different level as far as basic needs. But
Mm-hmm.
those little public the little little libraries
Yes.
that they have. There's a few of those around out this way. Um,
Nice.
yeah. There's one in at the clinic where I go to do my psych stuff. But
Okay, nice.
yeah, and yeah, I could see that being a totally different level of necessity though, because it's like it's great to read, but it's important to eat. you know,
Absolutely.
you can't go too long without that.
Not at all. And to find in multiple communities around the nation. So we're not the only ones who actually have these community fridges. Um, but we were just able to find a couple of them and just fill them up. And I think that there's something about that that's kind of cool to me because I don't know these people. These people don't know myself and my wife. They don't know us. But neighbors, wherever the fridge is, neighbors see us come over and they see us clean it out and fill it up. Like we'll take out the old stuff, if there's spoiled stuff,
Right.
maybe there's orange or lemon or something. We'll pull that stuff out because we don't want to contaminate the new food. And we also put food in the fridge covered up. So the food is like sometimes if it's say a cooked meal that can be eaten even cold, we'll put that in some nice foil. So when people open it up, it'll be like a marinated piece of chicken, right? So they're getting some surprises in these refrigerators. And we think about our own fridge at home so that we're not filling these fridges based on the people that we're serving. Not at all. We're filling these fridges as if it's our fridge. And I love that. That says a lot about who we are. It speaks to our integrity and it speaks to our love for the community. Again, we don't need to know you to care about you. We don't need to know you to feed you. We just want to feed you that you're eating. Like you said, Bill, eating is very important and it speaks to our ability to even function throughout the day. If we're going to work, we need food. Without food, we're going to be probably with a hangover or we'll be hangry or we'll have a headache of sorts. So I love the fact that we're able to serve and give food, water. We even donate some cash to some associations around home. We love to basically help the kids out, inner city youth, after school programs. We're all for it. We're all for it. We understand that the kids are our.
Yeah,
So we want to.
you got your work cut out with you, but for you, but but definitely gotta help those kids.
Oh yeah,
They're still at the formative stage. The younger you can get them, the better.
absolutely. I agree with that 1,000%. Well said. I believe in going younger and younger to get them really helpful information, even about investments. I've
Mm,
even started to talk to some kids about investments as young as 8 years old. You'd be
wow.
shocked at what these kids can retain. They get
Hmm.
it. The kids totally get it. They're like, oh, okay, cool. That's very simple. And so I believe in investing. I believe in investing into yourself, first and foremost. I just don't want our children of the future just buying these labels without understanding, hey, if you're going to buy that Gucci or that Prada or that Louis Vuitton, how about we take it a step further and let's talk about investing into that company instead of just buying the clothing because the clothing is not going to appreciate. The
Yeah.
stock definitely will. So I tend to go into spaces and talk about even video games, even investing in video game purchases and video game companies because I understand the kids all play video games. So when you connect them with the video game and investing and making some coin off of it, they're all for it. It kind of takes their attention really away from the game itself and it puts it more in this like structure of business. They're like, huh, okay. And a lot of the times these kids go on to create their own YouTube channels to talk about video games anyway. So why not talk about video games and investing into the companies who build and create these video
Yeah.
games?
Absolutely. Yeah, finance is such an underrepresented topic in education today. Um, very few people know much at all about it and don't understand how things like the Rule of 72
Mm-hmm.
or any of the things that those of us who have gone through finance classes may think of as, oh, of course everybody knows this. No, not everybody knows this.
Not at all.
Wow, you're definitely filling some underrepresented spaces for some underrepresented people.
Thank
Um,
you very
so
much.
good job. Yeah, just to mention real quick, the website is thebodysynthesis.com. You can find the
Correct.
link in the description. So
Yep.
you can head over there and get some help from Tavares or just connect and find out ways you can help. I mean, shoot,
Definitely.
the best way to be helped is to help. And
That's right. Well said, Bill.
but yeah, let's see, what else can we talk about? So we still got
Anything
some
you want?
time left. I'm sorry.
I said we can talk about anything that you like to talk about. I'm here for you. I'm here to be in this great space with you. And I'm very just grateful and so very much. It's been so much fun. And again, thank you for all the reminders. I love how on top of your show you are. In fact, while I received that actually inspired me too. It really did. It really took me in a space where, you know what? There's always room to tighten up the show. And one of those ways to do that is to make sure you're tightening up the guest appearances and you're helping the guests manage their expectations. So kudos to you, Bill, because you helped me with it. That was a very nice reminder. I've had guests, not show up, not call, not show up, right? And so
Yeah.
I appreciate your guidance there, even that may not have been your intention. But this goes back to what one of my beliefs in each one teach one, right? There's always something to learn from every opportunity or situation if we're available to it. So I'm
Yep.
grateful to be in a season in my life where I'm very available, I'm very receptive to information. And so thank you. Thank you for being a leadership in this space, Bill.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah, I'm sure you remember when you signed up the podcast agreement, and that started out as one I got from another podcast, and then
Okay.
I've been adding stuff to it as I found new things. Like the new thing I've got to add is about people being last minute no shows.
Yeah.
Because the reason that happened, people may remember that about a month ago, all of a sudden, instead of having two guests, I only had one guest for like 3 or 4 weeks. And what it was is that 3 weeks in a row, I had people no show on me, and
Oh,
which is it happens. I understand, but 3 weeks in a row seemed like a bit much to me, and
de-
so it's like, okay, so how do I mitigate this? How do I make it so that this is less likely to happen in the future?
absolutely.
And yeah, and so I'm working on an addition to the podcast agreement, which is already like that long.
But it's informative, Bill, and it's great. And look, again, it helps the guests manage their expectations, and
Mhm.
it helps you as well, right?
Yeah.
Your time is valuable, your energy is valuable,
Mhm.
so it should be respected and regarded as such. So I love the fact that you're creating this lengthy podcast agreement because I read it, and it's important to read it because again,
Yeah.
it really prepare for the podcast. And again, I love that. I'll probably borrow some of the language on there to be
Hey,
very transparent
feel
because
free.
I love keeping accountable, especially in this space that we create as podcasters. It's okay to hold people accountable. It's okay to let them know how you run your podcast. It's okay to let them know what space they're going to come in and share with you. And I think it's great that you're able to convey that before the interview. And you and I booked months out in advance. I mean, months. I was still checking my calendar to make sure that we were interviewing. And so your reminders were very well received. So I thank you very much for keeping us
Well,
on top of
I
our
thank
game.
you. I thank you for that. Yeah, because sometimes I worry if I'm poking the bear, so to speak, that I'm making people uncomfortable with all the reminders and all the rules and and everything, because
it's your show.
I felt the need to, at the end of it all, remind people we are here to have fun.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
Because I mean, I find it to be a lot of fun, but it's hard when people don't show up.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, and of course we're going to have another guest today, but he had to cancel at the last minute and apologized profusely. So I'm not going to ban him forever. But
isn't that some of the language in your podcast agreement somewhere in there about being banned from the show as a guest?
Do I have something in there already? No, that's definitely the new one that I'm going to be putting into it. The new thing I'm going to be adding into it as soon as I have some time to sit down and write. But yeah, yeah, I threaten to ban people who no show. So,
I think it's fair. I do, especially if there's more than one. Like 2 is too many. Well, 1 is too many, right? So if you're giving them a second opportunity, and they don't show up, then I think a ban is okay. I'm not completely against that at all. Again, it helps the guest or future guests completely understand the space that they're coming into. It helps us to understand you, Bill, understand what Bill's about, what Bill will go for, what Bill will not go for. And I think that's great. I think we all want to be in a space where we are conducting ourselves with a certain level of professionalism, because we are coming into a space that you have created. This is your show. You've worked hard at it, and you continue to work hard at evolving the show to make it great. So I believe that your guest should meet you with that same energy. They should be here to have fun, to be informed and be informative to your supporters and your listeners alike. And that's why I say thank you, Bill. Thank you very much for having me today. It's a grateful honor.
I thank you for that. It's an honor to have you on. You've been an incredible energy here. I have to say, anybody who's thinking about pulling the trigger with you, definitely. I can say I can feel his energy right now, and you would be in great hands with Tavares. So
thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. I appreciate.
But yeah, sorry.
It's taken me a while to get here. This version of myself, I had to go through had to learn things. We all have a story. We all have a past of story. Many times we allow those stories to replay over and over in our mind. And when we allow that to happen, it has a way of slowing us down. It'll slow down our process. It's important that people remember that they are not perfection, they are progress. Okay? And when we understand that, it allows us to have more grace and patience with ourselves. There was a lot of times where I would hold myself to the fire more than anyone. And a lot of us do it, right? We are our own worst critic. And so I had to get to a point where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of myself. That's why I stopped drugging. That's why I stopped drinking. Haven't had a drink in over 11 years. But I had to go through some things in order to be where I'm at today. And so instead of, and this is for anybody listening and watching, instead of dwelling on where you've been, on the things that you've done, focus more on how much you've grown, how far you've came since those situations or incidences. I have a background, again, like everybody else. I've done some things I'm not too happy about. I've done some things I used to be very shamed about. But again, because I was focusing so much on that, it never allowed me to move ahead in life. I wasn't able to propel myself. It was only when I accepted myself. Again, I stopped trying to be perfection and started understanding that I was progress. And since I've understood that, Bill, life has been a lot easier, let me tell you, because I understand everything that I do, everything that you do, Bill, is leading us closer to our goals. And let's be very clear, all that we do in life is practice anyway. Every single thing that we do is practice. Mastering the self takes time. Okay, so we can't be afraid to make mistakes. Those mistakes are going to lead us into the accomplishments, into the successes, into the thing or things that we want. So I say to people, when it comes to fear, don't just allow fear to paralyze you. There's information there. Understand what you're feeling. Pay attention to that vibration. And once you understand it, now you have the experience because you've gone through it. So when I look at problems, I don't even use the word problem. I use opportunities because that's what they're there for. Our problems are there to make us better. I know that sounds crazy, but they are. They're there to help us wise up and rise to the occasion. So let's not be so consumed with, oh my God, something else is going on. It's always something happening with me. Why is my life this way? Take a moment, give yourself a breather, show yourself grace, be patient with yourself, and understand there is a message in there for you. Allow yourself to be available to it. That's what I say.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I've said before that when we have opportunities for improvement, as my old mentor used to say, the why is not in the past. People go, why did this happen? Why is this going on? It's not it's not in the past. The how is in the past. You can look and say,
Correct.
oh, this is how I got into this situation. But you can't look for to the past for the why. The why is in the future.
Right.
Why I went through these bad things. Why for me, why was I in an industrial fire? Why did I get divorced, or
Mm-hmm.
or any number of bad things? Those whys aren't in the past. Well, some of it's in the past now, but but the why is generally in the future.
I agree.
I got the divorce ended up taking me back to Santa Ana, which took me to Anaheim Stadium,
All right.
which took me into radio, which brought me here,
Nice.
and doing the podcast. So yeah, and why this, why that. It's all about the future. You have to look
Right.
beyond the now,
That's right.
and as to find out why something has happened, why something is going on, because the purpose, you got to find the purpose in it.
That's
Um,
right. Well said.
so
I
yeah.
love that. And by the way, you and I
Yeah.
have a few things in common. So I used to live in Santa Ana.
Oh, really?
I used to live in Anaheim too.
Okay.
So I'm hearing you speak, and I'm like, we have so many things in common. Santa Ana, Anaheim,
Yeah.
radio, podcasting. I mean, wow. We are very much aligned right now. I love that. And I feel your
Yes.
energy. That's that synergy that I speak of when clients come to the body synthesis. That's why that first method of the entry level is the CLS method: connect, listen, share. Um, it feels very inviting. I make sure that it's warm, it's welcoming, it's inclusive, and we get a chance to share and talk about whatever the client wants to talk about. And a lot of the times, I start off with my story. I start sharing first because I want them to feel welcome. I don't want anyone to feel awkward or to be like timid. I want them to understand that they're in a safe place and space, and they're with someone safe in me. That's very important. And I'm very grateful to know that I've had a very great reception from all of my members. And I work with people from all walks of life, all walks of life. And that has been such a pleasant surprise because when I got into this, I got into it because I wanted affordable wellness care as well. And it was difficult to find the things that I wanted to be a part of under one roof: mind, body, spirit, nutrition. I wanted all of that under one roof, and I wanted it to be affordable, and I wanted to provide on site services as well. So that's why I created the body synthesis. I had a mentor tell me, hey, if you don't find it, build it. And ever since I was told that, that has been my mindset approaching all kinds of ventures. That's how I became an author. When I started out writing the books, I wasn't really writing for a book, Bill. I was going through a tough time. I was going through my detox. And going through the detox, I had some long nights, Bill. Had some ugly nights, Bill. Very dark nights. And I was writing out my pain. And I just kept writing every night, sometimes 2 or 3 entries into my journal. And a lot of it was poetry. And before I knew it, Bill, I had enough material for 3 volumes. Again, I didn't start off with the intention of being an author. I started off by sharing my pain and getting it out of me and creating the books of poetry. And when I went back to read my work, to reflect, that's exactly what I saw. So I started Kissed by the Wind, a book of poems and passions. It's a series, volume 1, 2, and 3. And what's cool about the series and the volumes is that you get an idea of how dark it was for me in volume 1. And then it kind of moved, the needle moves. And now you see in volume 2, it's a little bit of darkness, but there is some light at the end of the tunnel. And guess what? It's not a train. You get what I'm saying? And so in volume 3, now you have me in the light, and so you have the experience of reading that material, and it's a lot lighter, it's a lot brighter, it's more loving. And again, that wasn't even intentional. That just happened to be the way the book and the series evolved. And since then, I've kept writing, and I'm going to keep writing. I love it, I enjoy it. It's a great industry to be in. And again, I never saw myself being an author. So again, to anyone who's looking to get in the space of a podcaster or an author or just doing your thing, just do it. Don't focus on the why or the how. Just get after it. As soon as you start to get after it and you take immediate action, you're going to see the results. And the best way to start that process is to do and create micro shifts every day that will help you keep sustainable change around. There's no need to jump in with both feet. Okay. There's no need to have our eyes bigger than our stomach. Just look at what you want to do and just do it. Don't be concerned with what other people think or say or do, because they're not concerned about you in that space. They're worried about them. We often think that people are thinking about us or that they're like focused on us. They're not. They're worried about their own life, their own bills to pay. They're not worried about you or I, Bill. And so we are able to focus, and I say, do the thing and do it with love being the emotion that drives you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was pretty much the advice I got when I started doing this podcast, was just do it. And
Yep.
And so yeah, worry about the rest of it later. But
Absolutely. Things fall into place. And that's what I found so
Yeah.
beautiful about doing my podcast and anything that I get involved in. Things just begin to fall into place. And then I'm able to put together perhaps the framework, right? That's how it was with my podcast. I had no framework, I had zero, but I had a background of radio. And so
Yep.
that linked itself to me and that was helpful. But I was like, okay, this is a podcast. This is a little different. And I had listened to other podcasts. So I did a little bit of research, but I didn't do a whole lot. And again, I just needed someone to talk to at the time. I have an EMDR therapist now, but at the time I didn't have any type of general counsel. I didn't have any type of doctors or a team of doctors like I do now. And so I can say that starting my podcast absolutely led me down a road of where I wanted to be more inquisitive about my own brain health. I wanted to be more inquisitive about me. And I love that because I would never have thought the podcast would have actually afforded me those opportunities.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of beauty, a lot of gems, a lot of information, a lot of opportunity in podcasting. So for anyone listening, for anyone who's interested, just do the thing. I don't care what it is that you want to do, just do it. Trust me, you'll be fine. Trust yourself.
Yep. Yeah. You're the only one you really can trust fully.
That's
But
it.
yeah. So I always say to leave them wanting more. So let's call it the end for now.
Okay, you got it.
And of course, you're always welcome back, because usually every show's different, because we have two people, and there'll always be two different people. So
Nice. I'd
but
love to come back.
yeah, I'd love to have you. And but before we do go, want to ask you: do you have any final words for the nice people?
Love yourself and let that love show up everywhere around you, and it will. Take time to make time. Understand that you are progress, not perfection. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to make mistakes. Without mistakes, we would never understand the thrill of success. So it's all good. Don't make things worse than they are. Don't think them worse than they are. Okay? It's totally okay for you to pause, take a step back, and readjust yourself with any opportunity, no matter what. And remember, the most important thing, respond, don't react. It's a lot easier that way.
Fine final words. Definitely great words to take to heart. And everybody be safe out there. Remember to wash your hands and stay tuned for the ending credits. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I'd like to thank our producer, my beloved mother, Eileen Hatch. I, of course, am your humble host. I would also like to thank my special guest, Tavares A. Garrett. Support the show if you feel so led over on patreon.com. We're known as Bald Spots Pro. Don't you dare miss YWL Online. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasts are offered. Tune in next time when my special guest will be Timothy Poore, who founded a company focused on helping hospitals find care for difficult-to-place patients. And Jeffrey Zur, a returning guest who makes pure water out of thin air. He follows a social entrepreneurship model to run his business in a way that helps the underserved. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Subscribe, follow, whatever it is you've got to do to kick that algorithm into gear and help us reach more people. If you or someone you know needs support now, call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org. That is the suicide and crisis lifeline here in the United States.